Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia, chapter 262. And yeah, I'm sorry this one is a little later than normal, guys. It's just that there's a lot like going on today and whatnot. And actually, even before I get into the review, I may as well address the big news, which is that supposedly today, like my hero, like One Piece's chapter was supposed to release today, but apparently at the last minute, like Ichiro Oda had basically said he basically had basically come down with something, so he had to cancel the release last minute or something like that, which yeah which yeah the as we all know, recently, like the press release came out and said that it wasn't that disease. It was just a common cold. But when in this day and age, who basically knows if that's what it actually was or not? I will. The only thing I will say is I hope Oda, whatever's going on with Oda, he's basically okay, because I'm not gonna lie, in this day and age, with what's going on right now, I'm a little bit extra worried, but I'm sure it is just a common cold and he's gonna get better. But yeah, I hope Oda can. I hope Oda just feels better. Like whatever happens, I hope Oda just he comes back like 100%. I don't want him coming back even with just slightly, even just feeling slightly sick. I want him back like pretty much full health when he returns. So yeah. Um, but yeah, with that said, let's get into the review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 262. So, first big thing with this chapter is that we get further insight from the Doctor about the production of Nomu, more specifically the high ends, and how integral All for One was, especially in their production. Which hearing all this actually does answer the question of why, in general, we've seen so few of the high ends compared to the other classes of Nomu, because the other classes of Nomu are just easier to make, easier to produce, and easier in order to integrate quirks into, obviously, as we've seen. Um, and this also explains why Dabi was tasked with recovering Black Hood back then, because like Kurogiri, Hood is an invaluable Nomu. And again, this is just another moment that showcases how All for One's defeat has affected the narrative of the story as a whole. Even when he's not directly involved, his presence and his influence is still affected everything and everyone around him. In terms of the Doctor, it just showed that when All for One got captured, it vastly affected how he produces Nomu. He basically had to work even 10 times harder in order to actually produce like high ends at that point. Um, and so yeah, and in that respect, honestly, for as twisted as the Doctor is, and as twisted as his experiments are, you definitely have to give the guy credit for. Yeah, they definitely have to give the guy credit for at least from doing like for basically making do with the whole situation, and doing what he could in order to stay afloat and whatnot, in order to keep the production of Nomu afloat and whatnot, despite the obvious disadvantage he was given. So yeah. But aside from that, the majority of the chapter from that point on was pretty much Mirko flexing her quirk on those Nomu, which yeah, was off the chain epic, and just how the artwork portrayed this berserker like quality to how she fought, and the way Mirko like moved made her come across as basically an insane monster rabbit. Like there were moments in this chapter where I was like, okay, she's basically rabid. She's insane. She's got some fucking power, but like she was basically a full on berserker rabbit in this. In fact, I dare say, during this whole chapter and even through previous chapters as well, Mirko is more of a fight happy character than most Saiyans, and yeah, again, it's honestly just a sight in itself to see just her fucking. It was like watching an action movie, and just the sight to see her just kind of go in, kick some asses, and just take some names, just do all that shit. Um, but with that said, the fight in itself, ironically enough, isn't the most isn't the most important part of this part of the chapter. Like the fight itself is epic, but it's not the thing you actually need in this chapter. It's not the thing that you need to pay attention to. The thing the thing that really needs to be paid attention to in this chapter is the progress bar on Shigaraki's containment unit, because that, like, the progress bar of like 70, 71, that is our timer. And if things persist the way they are currently, I think what we're seeing here, and what's most likely to happen, and the scenario most likely to happen here, is that Mirko is going to come extremely close to the mark in stopping the Doctor, but coming just short by a split second. And in that split second is basically when pretty much Shigaraki is going to awaken. Now, whether or not Shigaraki is going to awaken at the full 100%, who knows? But who knows? But yeah, I can definitely see this happening in a way where once Mirko arrives to try and capture the Doctor, that's at the point where Shigaraki is definitely going to awaken for sure. Because yeah, the thing that's, because it's definitely, because as I said, like Horikoshi is definitely using that progress bar as the timer to keep an eye on. And once that timer hits anywhere near 100 or at 100, then yeah, it's basically game over for our heroes for sure. Now the end of the chapter shows that Hawks has been more or less exposed, and honestly, at this point, I'm weirdly, like, don't get me wrong, I still very much think he's going to die, but at the same time, I'm also debating a little tiny bit in my head if he's actually going to die. If he's going to die as well, because it's one of those things where it's so far things seem to be going very smoothly, but at the same time, it also seems way too good to be true. And actually, considering everything that's going on right now, I imagine it's going to be a case where if Hawks is definitely still slated to die, his death is going to happen amidst all the chaos going on. And with that being said, I definitely see it playing out one of two ways. Either Hawks is going to die shortly after reuniting with Endeavor, and it's going to happen with basically Hawks trying to defend Endeavor in some way, or he just dies moments before the reunite. But and it's a situation where Endeavor discovers Hawks' dead body. But in either case, yeah, Endeavor's probably going to end up holding a dead body in his hands, and that in itself, at this point in itself, if Hawks dies, that's going to be some very interesting turning point in development, like, for Endeavor, because this is going to be his first major time that this is going to be the first major point in the story where he's possibly failed to save someone, if it turns out the way I'm thinking it will. And yeah, it's going to, like Endeavor has already gotten a taste of what it's like to save someone with basically Natsu, but now it's probably setting up a time where he's gonna have to experience what it's like to fail to save someone now. And yeah, I think Hawks is gonna be that one he's gonna fail to save. Now, one thing I really hope doesn't happen, though, is that Twice isn't gonna get killed, because most everyone can attest to the fact that on the villain side, he is a fan favorite, and to be fair, I actually believe even less that he's going to die compared to Hawks. But yeah, just from that last page with Tonoyasu, like, pretty much like discovering that Hawks was a traitor, it doesn't. It feels like he's more determined to kill Hawks than he is Twice, but it feels like that Twice is probably going to suffer some kind of punishment after all this, and whatever punishment Twice ends up with, I hope it won't be too severe, because honestly, it really came it really came down to a situation of him just really being tricked by Hawks. But at the same time, I can also see a situation evolving from this where he will be under a much more watchful eye, and possibly put in a situation where he'll have to prove his loyalty again. And at that point, it's gonna be interesting to see what development his character is gonna go through from that. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, guys.